This is the final word. First day of the IPL with Geoff Lemon. I don't have Adam Collins with me today because he's doing commentary on a Middlesex County match. So I'm going to see if I can do this on my own. Let's you and me work out if it works. Royal Challengers Bangalore beating the Mumbai Indians off the last ball of the match. Let's do a 30-second summary. Why not? It was a squeeze from RCB. Yes, Harshal Patel took 5 wickets, but it was a shared bowling effort. They cut off options. They conceded 31 in the last 5 overs. Chris Lynn made some runs. Surya Kumar Yadav made some runs, but no one could really get going. And then it was a perilous chase for RCB. A partnership between Virat Kohli and Glenn Maxwell of 52 was handy, but then AB de Villiers had to do it at the end. 48 he made off 27 balls in quick time and just about got them there. And they won from the last ball, even though he'd been run out. Slightly more than 30 seconds, but there we go. That's what we have to deal with. A few things to look at in this game. One, our favourite umpire, Nitin Menon, was there, umpiring night 1 of the IPL. Good to see him still getting the big gigs. 2, players who didn't play, but in the squads, we know that Arjun Tendulkar's been picked up by the Mumbai Indians, but as one of our listeners pointed out, that means that in one squad you had Sachin Baby, and in the other squad you had Baby Sachin. Neither of them got to play, so that was unfortunate. And then RCB apparently have decided to pick every bowler in the world, so they had Dan Christian, Washington Sundar and Glenn Maxwell in their top 6. Then they had Kyle Jamieson batting at 7, and then Mohammad Siraj, Shahbaz Ahmed, Yuzvendra Chahal, all to follow with Harshal Patel as well. So why have one bowler when you can have 8 bowlers? Just get them all into the team. Mohammad Siraj and Kyle Jamieson started off really nicely, I thought. They set that tone early. You had Rohit Sharma and Chris Lynn opening for the Mumbai Indians. Very destructive, potentially, that partnership. But 3 quiet overs helped put the pressure on. Rohit Sharma gets himself run out in a misunderstanding there. Chris Lynn in a team is always a bit of a gamble, given that he can't dive around in the field, so he needs to be making runs. He bashes 49. Surya Kumar Yadav came in and looked really good with that timing. Once again, the way that he can just time his shots from the get-go. He makes 31. But it was a matter of having enough quiet overs. So look at even Yuzvendra Chahal, who had a bad night by the figures, went at 10 and over, but his over that went for only 3 runs, that ramped up a little bit of pressure. SKY gets out in the next over. Chris Lynn gets out not long after that off Washington Sundar. And, suddenly there's a bit of trouble. And then for a while it looked like RCB had made trouble for themselves because they kept not dismissing Ishan Kishan. He played a hook shot that went over Washington's head. Then he played another hook shot of Harshal that was dropped in the same spot. Very simple chance it was put down. And so, it looked like RCB might be creating their own problems. But Harshal Patel had other ideas. Started bowling his cutters, took the catches out of the equation, pinned Ishan Kishan LBW, and then kept bowling those variations, those sort of pace-off deliveries, and got a couple of big wickets in the 1 over with Kieran Pollard and Krunal Pandya caught in the deep. So that 31 from the last 5 overs, as I mentioned, weren't able to explode, only got to 159, and that looked like it should be well within reach for RCB, an attainable sort of total. Particularly enjoyed Trent Boult's bowling off the top for Mumbai Indians, the swing, the shape, and when you see a plan put into action and it comes off, okay, Rohit Sharma, he's the captain. He puts himself at second slip. He's got the outswing to the left-hander, the outside edge straight to him, and he drops the catch. The plan that so nearly works, and then you've got no one to blame but yourself if you're Rohit Sharma in that situation. So Washington Sundar survived as the unusual opener, I guess. They've got Devdutt Padikkal to come back in when he's passed fit after his COVID exemption, so that'll shake up the batting order a little bit for RCB. But Washington not really able to time the ball very well and eventually got himself out. Virat Kohli just did what he does, knocked the ball around at a runner ball for that early part because that's all he needed to do. And then Glenn Maxwell coming in and making an impression. Obviously, everybody knows that last year in the IPL he didn't hit a 6 in the tournament. It took him about 5 minutes to hit his first one. But the range of shots from Maxwell, he played the switch hit first up for 4, then the wristy inside out over cover for 4, and then got his sixes going, came down the wicket at Krunal Pandya, and that on drive for 6 was perfect. Just the sound of that off the bat, crisp, and it was still going up when it went past the camera that was up in the stands. It was absolutely launched. I think it got out of the ground on the ricochet. And then he played the switch hit a little later and dumped one of those over the offside that became the leg side when he became a left-hander, and smacked that for 6 as well. So nice to see Glenn Maxwell getting a few early, the Final Words India correspondent. So he made 39, got out at a bad time just towards the end when he could have been going on to seal the game. But that's why they had AB de Villiers coming in down at 5. I heard so much argument and debate about this. Should AB be coming in so far down the order, all the rest of it. It seemed like a pretty good option to have him there as the backup. He was the firewall in case things went wrong, and things did go wrong because, those wickets fell and he was required. But the calm and the cool that he showed, having not played any elite cricket since the last IPL 6 months ago, was pretty ridiculous that he was able to come in and pretty much ice the chase in the way that he did. He took down Chahar, he took down Trent, Boult, and it was only a bit of dodgy running right at the end that saw him out in the final over, and a little bit of uncertainty about who would actually seal the win. But in the end, the RCB tail were able to get that done. Very interesting looking at Marco Jansen as well, the South African bowler, the tall, skinny kid who bowled to Virat Kohli in the nets a couple of years ago. He's never played for South Africa, but got picked up, managed to keep his nerves under control, got a couple of wickets, 4 overs before the end, had to bowl the last over trying to defend 6 runs, did a really good job and very nearly won the game for Mumbai. Jasprit Bumrah was impressive as well towards the back, picked up a couple of wickets there too. So, plenty to like for the Mumbai Indians with their bowling performance. The batting is where they'll be looking, but plenty of upside for that to improve. So, it was a finish that it wasn't necessarily the most thrilling game you'll ever see, but it came down to the last ball, and you can't ask for much more than that. In terms of the player of the day, that basically has to go to AB. He was the one who pulled the match one way when it could have gone another. I suppose you could very easily make the case as well that Harshal Patel deserved that for his 5 wickets, because he did help keep the Mumbai Indians score to something that was chaseable. He let AB get it. So maybe on the basis that AB will win many more prizes and already has won all the prizes that he would want to win, except a World Cup, maybe we'll give it to Harshal Patel on this occasion. As for the Hall of Fame, I really liked the fact that Karan Pollard, who's just the eternal Mumbai Indians player, like one of those Japanese warriors who signs up to serve the same shogun for decades and decades. He just comes out in the uniform time and again. His first ball of a new tournament, he just stood there and let it hit him in the chest. He was like, yeah, what of it? I'm too big and too solid to worry about this. That was Mohammad Siraj belting him in the chest. Virat Kohli gets a nomination for the catch that he went up for that went through his hands and whacked him in the face, so he got to look really hardcore later when he was batting because he had the big swollen egg on his face and just looked very Fight Club. And maybe the final nomination and the winner goes to AB de Villiers for getting run out. Now, usually when you run a run in cricket, it's 22 yards. So if you run 2 runs, you should run 44 yards. He ran about 66 yards when he got run out because he came down one side of the pitch, crossed the entire pitch, and then ran up on the other side, still on a curve. I'm struggling to see what the thinking was for this because it didn't make it any quicker, and he was run out by about 3 yards. So maybe the quick tumble turn in and out might be a bit more reliable for the future, AB. But that was it. Mumbai Indians have a habit of losing the first game of the tournament, and it doesn't seem to hurt them very much. RCB got a win to start with, which their supporters were very anxious for them to do, given they've been the underperformers for so long. and we got a last ball finish on night one. And as for the final word, personally, we got to enjoy some Glenn Maxwell time and some Virat Kohli time. What a partnership, the two of them getting things together. And Chris Lynn at the top for MI will be well worth watching as well from an Australian point of view, or anyone who likes watching the ball sail out of the ground. That's probably enough. The final word on the first day of the IPL. Well, it's actually the second day now, but we're talking about the first day. We won't be doing a report on every match, but we'll be doing some bits and pieces throughout. Keep an eye on the feed, and we'll pop up when we pop up. Geoff Lemon on the final word. See you soon.